Today, I'm gonna be ranking all maps in Concord based on how livable they are using these ratings in order of importance. Number 1. Food. At the top for obvious reasons. Can't live without it. I'm counting anything edible or anything that within reason might be available in the map. Number 2. Shelter. Anywhere that might be comfy enough to live counts. As long as we have somewhere to hide from the elements, we'll be fine. Number 3. Safety. There's a lot of hazards exclusive to each map. From potential storms, shootouts, falling, or even if gathering food is risky, anything that might be dangerous will take some points from this category. Finally, porta potties give 2 extra stars if I can find any in the map. That's a nice little bonus. Based on that score, we're placing them in this completely objective tier list right here. 0 to 5 stars will get you in the Team Fortress 2 tier. Bleh. You will probably die painfully if you try to live here. 6 to 10 stars will get you in the Overwatch tier. Not the best, but serviceable. You might survive if you try hard enough, but it won't be pretty. 11 to 14 lands you in the Paladins tier. Top notch, mwah! You probably have enough food to last you for years and might even have some semblance of comfort. Finally, the Conquered tier, reserved for 15 stars and above. I doubt we'll have any planets in this category, but rest assured, you'll live like a king in a planet in this tier. You ready? Let's go! First off, we've got the maps Bone Mines, Train Trouble, and Vastodon Lab in the planet Akar. Akar was a chill planet with chill dudes, until their moon blew up and murdered everyone there with a toxic cloud. A company discovered you could eat the eggs of those extinct fellas, so it's safe to say food is abundant here. Train Heist. Probably my favorite map in the entire game. Train Heist puts us in some sort of service station. There's goo for days. I mean, there's barrels and barrels of it. Shame a lot of it went to waste. According to the wiki, the train is hauling concrete and universal flavor. The latter is a powder you can mix with anything edible to make it palatable. Unless you wanna eat dry powder, you need to find something good to put it on, so any creature and probably fruits and vegetables are fair game here. Water is very hard to find anywhere in the whole game, so I'll just treat it as an extra if we happen to find any in the map. You might be thinking, just look for more of those gigantic creatures for food. But no, you're dumb and stupid. Bad. These creatures, leviathans, are extinct, and their eggs are used to make the universal flavor we were eating. So I guess you're kinda right, and smart. Good. 3 out of 5 stars in food. Considering we're in a desert, it's safe to assume there might be sandstorms. Thankfully, this map offers a lot of shelters from the environment and the sun, the train cabins being one of the most common. But there's also service tunnels, nukes and crannies where we can hide, plus a bunch of vehicles scattered around. 4 out of 5 stars. What's with all the graffiti? Right now, it might look safe and peaceful, until you look at the train. Someone blew up the tracks and completely impaled the front. Those being the Marauders. They're clone space pirates that only want to make more clone space pirates, and apparently more eggs so they can sell them. If they're still nearby, or if they feel like coming back for more loot from the train, we might be screwed. 2 out of 5 stars in safety. Finally, we have toilets. Do we have toilets? Yes, we do. Have toilets. 2 stars. This adds up to a total of 11 stars. We start off strong, but can anywhere else top this? Bone Mines. Next up, we have the source of all the bones and eggs on the planet, the Bone Mines. It looks like some sort of hub and processing plant set up for the factories around here that make concrete and universal flavor spices. Since no one is here, we have to assume all these maps are abandoned, so we can't just get a job to live more comfortably. Plus, we can't leave the theoretical limits of what we can see, just to not make it too easy for us. For food, there's literally the source of food used everywhere right there. We even have a kitchen to make all sorts of egg dishes. Easy 5 out of 5 stars. As for shelter, our options are a bit limited. There's probably houses not far from here, but none in sight. At least there's cars to sleep in. In worst case scenario, we live in a factory or in the chimichanga stand. 2 out of 5 stars. The whole planet is under control of the guild. So assuming we're not wanted criminals, we're safe here from attacks. What we're not safe from are workplace incidents. I mean, we have to get food from these gigantic 20-meter eggs. Imagine climbing a small mountain for breakfast every single day. Plus, the factories are also a danger, assuming you want to eat the processed version of universal flavor. There's also steep hills to get everywhere from the playable part of the map, and this thick smoke coating everything inside of it, presumably from the fire a couple kilometers away. Did I mention the fire a couple kilometers away? 2 out of 5 stars. The last thing are toilets. There's a single one besides the chimichanga stand. Those guys know what they were doing. 2 stars. Bone Mines gets 11 stars. Once again, we have a top tier map, plenty of food, and good enough conditions. Vastodon Labs. Last map in the planet, we have the Vastodon Labs. I don't have access to this map, but there's more than enough footage online. The Vastodon Labs were made to see if they could clone the eggs to make more eggs, since, you know, the whole extinct species thing. They haven't been able to make more Leviathans to hatch more eggs, but they have cloned more eggs, meaning we have our first renewable source of food, 5 out of 5 stars. It's a bit hard to tell, but considering this a lab, there's probably lots of houses for the scientists that work here. Plus, I'm sure you can find an office somewhere with a comfy chair, or at least a building with some AC unlike the other two. 3 out of 5 stars. It's also hard to rate safety without getting a closer look at the map, but considering it's a lab and that you would actively need to use it to clone your food, I'd say it's a 2 out of 5 stars, assuming you don't, want to starve. Yes, there is a porta potty. I looked through several videos to find it. Please like the video. Vastodon Labs gets a total of 12 stars. A stellar performance for a car. Can any other planet beat it? Glance. Glance is a planet dominated by this jerk called Tuzan, the Salt Lord. The whole planet is a desert, and it's used to evaporate water from the planet Leviathan, and the salt it leaves behind can be used to power ships. This fella enslaved the whole planet to make more salt. Sandrak. Sandrak is a company town made by Mr. Morden over here to process his salt. The wiki says that food is rationed and often rotten, and fresh water is impossible to come by, with runoff from factories being one of the only sources available. I'd give it 1 star if we didn't have a market with a couple stalls, so 2 stars. For shelter, this is the first map where we see actual houses, like several of them spread throughout the map. We don't see any beds or the conditions inside, but with houses like this that could go for 200 million in California, there's nothing to complain about. Maybe except the heat, but they've even got ventilation covered. 5 stars. I think I shouldn't count the food shortage and the crazy overlord into the safety of the map, since the food is already its own category, and we're going off us being the only people here, but what I can count is the massive salt silo that was dropped on the map. The risk of this bad boy falling and reducing your house from a 200 million to a 150 million property is pretty big. Also, the whole planet being a boiler, and the wiki says that the UV rays from the sun can set off the salts to blow up, even if they're unprocessed. Yeah, 1 star for safety. Just outside the playable area, below this massive ship, there's a porta potty just beside its barn. Hell yes, plus 2 stars. Sandrak gets a total of 10 stars, just one short to make it to the A tier. With all the cons, it's a miracle it even made it this high up. Salt Palace. This is where the Salt Lord lives. It was built as a resort, but it's used as a palace now. It has one of the 2 infinite water sources in the planet, so at least we don't have to drink runoff here. The other one was robbed. For food, I'm sure there's enough gourmet food for a while. Even when that's out, you could try your luck at the local factories. 4 stars for food. This whole place is a literal shelter. It's someone's house. There's pools and spas and every possible comfort. It's even got an amazing view to boot. 5 out of 5 stars. I'm kinda conflicted on safety. On one hand, it's a literal fortress on top of a mountain. It's got turrets and all kinds of safety mechanisms, so no one's getting through. On the other hand, someone already got through to steal the other infinite water source. Also, the palace is full of fuel salt. Oh, these aren't homemade salts. They were made in a factory. A bomb factory. The Lord used them to threaten visitors into accepting his deals or something, so these are real and primed to blow up. Let's give it a 2 out of 5 stars in safety. I desperately looked for the whole map, but there wasn't a porta potty anywhere in this map, making it the first map to not get an extra 2 stars. How can you call yourself a luxury resort without having the finest in waste disposal? Pathetic. Salt Palace gets a total of 11 stars. Salt Palace once again brings the bar up to A tier, making it one of the better places to live in. Free water. Last glance, we've got free water, and once again, we don't have any footage for it, so back to YouTube. There's a couple of food stands here and there, so you won't starve at least. For water, whoever stole Mr. Salt's second infinite water source left it here, so you'll have enough. I think free water deserves a fair 4 out of 5 stars. Considering they stole an infinite water source, the Salt Lord might come knocking anytime soon. At least there aren't any exposed piles of field salts for change. 3 out of 5 stars on safety. Considering this a pseudo-fortress for the rebellion in Glance, we have to assume some of the buildings are houses. Once again, if it comes to it, we can simply sleep in one of the many food stands for some temporary shelter. 3 out of 5 stars. I gave up on finding a porta potty after a couple videos. Apparently, the people here don't need a bathroom? No extra stars. Free water gets 10 stars. I promise it'll get worse. All the settlements just happen to be in a row. For now, Overwatch tier. Gloom. We've got a small one, with only 2 maps on this planet. Gloom is uninhabited, with ancient ruins and other civilizations just lying around. Also, giant robots appeared and destroyed the whole place. Robot ruins. The first map is Robot Ruins. There's a robot, and there's ruins. Very self-explanatory. Apparently, this giant robot came out of nowhere, and people are trying to figure out how it ended up here, and the others are just trying to scrap it. I guess someone poked his brain out and is trying to see its memory or something. There's no food here. The only edible thing I found was this empty box of Chinese takeout and an empty can of soda. And don't try to forage any mushrooms, since the wiki says the planet is full of toxic fungi. At least you can try to scavenge something around with all the greenery. 1 out of 5 on food. There's a couple improvised sheds for looters laying around, but the towers are probably your best bet for a shelter. There are definitely worse places to live, and with the warm weather, you don't exactly need to hide from any extreme conditions as much as the other planets. 2 out of 5 stars. There don't appear to be any creatures out here, so at least no one is out to get you. The place has been in ruins. Robot ruins for the last 80 years, so nothing is gonna fall off the ruined robot at this point, so that's covered too. If you get desperate looking for food, you might trip and fall off the very steep mountain though. I'll give it a 2 out of 5 stars. There are restrooms too, just besides your spawn point. I'm tempted to give it extra points for the convenience, but that might be playing favorites. There's more outside the playable area too. 2 points. So, Robot Ruins ends up with disappointing 7 points. The porta potty saved Robot Ruins from being our first F tier. At least when you're dying from dysentery, you'll have a nice toilet to go to. Star Chamber. Like the last one, this one's a ruin, but there's less nature and more cliffs. You don't happen to eat rocks by any chance, do you? If you don't, you're out of luck. There isn't a single edible plant or food stand around. 0 out of 5 stars for food. There are very similar towers to the last map, so at least you have somewhere you can rest. 2 out of 5. I'm guessing you'd want to get out of here as fast as possible since there's literally nothing to eat, which is gonna prove kind of hard since you're at the top of a very steep hill. Other than that, you're kinda safe, I guess. 2 out of 5 stars. There are no porta potties, no extra stars for you. The total for Star Chamber are 4 stars. Finally, somewhere unlivable. Leviathan. Leviathan is a water world with pretty much no land at all. All the maps in Leviathan are these oil rigs that either gather water, these giant eels, or the mighty power of the sun.
The mighty sun.
Water Hazard. Water Hazard is a fishing dock for eels. There's already one hanging here. One half of the rig has machinery to chop, process, pack, and ship eels. The other half of the map is more concerned with shipping and it's full of boxes and packages. If you starve here, it's because you didn't work hard enough. There's already an eel in the station for you to eat until you figure out how to process the rest of the body. There's spear guns for you to fish more if you ever run out of food, making it our second map with renewable food. There's even a freezer to keep everything nice and cold. Sure, you don't have universal flavor to make it taste good, but with this nice thrifty kitchen, at least you can cook it however you want. There's plates, stoves, kitty spoons, and everything you need to make fish. You can then eat in this extremely comfy and cozy food court with all of your... Oh, right. We're alone here. You're not gonna believe this, but right across the kitchen, there's an even cozier room, where, for the first time in the tier list, we find beds. Actual beds to sleep in. They even have a curtain for privacy. There's a locker with some clothes, some life jackets. What else could you ask for? Now, let's... Wait, where's the door? I swear it was right here just 1 second ago.
Michael! Don't leave me here! Michael!
For safety, we need to call OSHA. I mean, look at all these code violations. There's meat hanging from the rails, and walkways are blocked with more slop. Imagine a worker trying to walk around it and accidentally falling into the saw pit. If you want to process your food, you're gonna have to climb on all sorts of things and operate machinery without a license. In case the whole thing collapses, I guess there at least are some life rafts that you can sail to any other PNG dock in the distance. A 3 out of 5 would be pretty fair here. As for toilets, I couldn't find any porta potties. However, I found an actual bathroom with a sink and everything. Oh my goodness gracious, I'd give it 5 stars if the stalls had doors. But for now, that's 2 extra stars. Water hazard has a total of 15, making it our first and probably only Concord tier map in the video. Lightning. For the second map in Leviathan, we have Lightning. It's another giant rig in the middle of the ocean, but this one fishes for thunder. It has this giant antenna that extends up into the clouds to transform lightning into power. I couldn't find any kind of fishing gear, but I found another restaurant with boxes and boxes of what I assume is food, earning Lightning a pretty quick 3 out of 5 stars. Yet again, Leviathan proves to be the most comfortable with huge living quarters, this time with doors and accessible to players. Beds, closets, and curtains for privacy. 5 out of 5 for shelter. There's so much to be desired for safety. There's no stairs to climb back up if you fall. There's a giant antenna that might fall from the sky without enough maintenance, and there's no way you can learn to maintain it while living here. Plus, the roofs are full of mines for some reason. Why? There's packages and luggage up there. Why would you fill it with bombs? 1 out of 5. There's no restrooms or porta potties here. I guess you can do it in the ocean? No extra stars for you. That adds up to a total of 9 stars. Respectable, but not as good as Water Hazard. Spineworks. I was gonna find some online footage for this map too, but it actually made its way into the beta. It's just not done cooking. I'm sure Firewalk is hard at work wrapping it up though. There's enough meat here for us to review it, so let's do that, shall we? Spineworks is another fishing dock, but this time it's set up on the side of a mountain. If I'm not wrong, this map processes the spines of leviathans for materials instead of food. There's enough meat lying around even in this state for us to give it a 5 out of 5. There's 2 halves of a leviathan still hanging there. There's even a bunch of meat cubes in the corner of the map. I couldn't find any good place to call shelter. Everywhere was either a hallway or had open windows, exposing you to the elements. There's a shipping container, so at least you can hide in there if a storm shows up. 1 out of 5 stars for shelter. There's these tubes without any handrails. Not sure why they're tubes, but if they're here so early in development, I guess that means they really wanted them to be here and act as pathways. It's not even like they're just tubes that people happen to walk on top of. They have ramps connected to them, and even connect to this hallway. OSHA would not approve of this. There's also this walkway on top of a leviathan. It's supposed to be a clamp holding onto it, but there aren't any handrails around it. Very dangerous. 2 out of 5. Unfortunately, the map isn't at a point where they would add props for a while, so there are no porta potties. Spineworks, early in development, gets a total of 8 stars. You'll probably die to the elements before you starve, at least. Silo. The last planet in the list with only 1 map. We have Silo. Apparently, the Guild, that's the Empire for you Star Wars nerds, dragged a whole asteroid into the planets to make a hole that they could use as headquarters. Sorting Hub. The last map, Sorting Hub, is located in Crater City. As you can imagine, we have all sorts of amenities you would find in a city, including, and not limited to, crater cakes. Yeah, I'm not translating anything else. It takes way too long to decode these. There's some options for food, the most obvious one being this giant subway they installed in the middle of the way. Judging by these boxes on the floor, I'd say they have anything from red tentacle to purple Chinese tentacle takeout. Yum! Judging by the shape, I'd say this is where the mythical Jiggly Burger from the teaser comes from. What a hearty meal. There's also this box in the middle of the way with a suspicious amount of LODs. I just don't trust it. There's also a drink stand only a couple steps down the road. Not sure if they only sell drinks, but at least there's something to drink. 5 out of 5, thanks to the pleasures of civilized society. Like any city, there's some apartments for us to live in. There's so many clothes hangers out here. Like way too many. There aren't any model interiors, unfortunately, but at least we have a lot to choose from. 4 out of 5. Like I said, the city is controlled by the Guild, so I doubt there's gonna be a lot of trouble around here. Maybe an occasional shootout might break out, but I'd still rather live here than in Atlanta. As long as you watch your step, you'll be fine. 4 out of 5 stars. I swear I saw a porta potty here in the full release. Right here. I swear there's one right here, but I couldn't find any footage of it. However, if you've been to New York, you'll know there's a perfectly serviceable public restroom right here. So Crater City gets the extra 2 stars. Crater City ends up with a total of 15 stars, making it our second Concord tier map. Debug maps. You think we're done here only because we covered all the maps? Wrong. There's a couple non-playable maps that I found that we can fully explore here. Metrics World. Welcome to Metrics World. If you're looking for a deserted landscape with gray boxes and metrics as far as the eyes can see, look no further than Metrics World. It's easy to move around here thanks to these handy teleporters. Food. No food. Don't try to eat these NPCs or these chonks. They're invulnerable. No matter how hard you try, you won't damage them. 0 out of 5 stars. Shelter. There's a couple houses up here where you can take shelter from the sun. I guess you could cozy up in a corner and try to get some sleep. At least there aren't any severe weather conditions to take shelter from. 1 out of 5 stars. With nothing to do here, you're bound to eventually try to jump around and play with any of the fancy metrics around here. But be careful, there's many risky places here. There's an invisible mine box where if you enter, you won't be able to leave.
Michael, don't leave me here.
There's slippery surfaces.
Hey, yo, the pizza here. Oh, nigga!
And I'm sure you could fall off the map if you tried hard enough. 1 out of 5 stars. No bathrooms in here, so no extra stars. Metrics World ends up with a mighty 2 stars. Completely unlivable. Gym. Until I recorded this video, I had no idea that this place existed. It's called PvP Modes _ Gym. And there's absolutely nothing here but a blank box floating in space. Pretty sweet if you ask me. 0 stars for everything. North Star. This is the map that welcomes you when you first load in the game. This training ground is set in the docks of the North Star ship, and there really isn't that much to look at here. We will assume a lot of stuff for this map, but I think it's fair to say we have the whole ship to ourselves, so saying we can travel the universe is fair. Food? We can just go to any map with a reliable source of food, like Vastodon Labs or Water Hazard. 5 out of 5 stars. Same thing for shelter. We can fly anywhere and find ourselves a nice bed, assuming there isn't anything nice in here already. 5 out of 5. Safety. I hope I don't have to remind you the absolute nightmare that traveling the Concord universe is. There's a whole section in the secret level episode of Concord where they talk about a bajillion ways to die in open space. 0 out of 5. No way we're getting anywhere with this ship. There's no bathrooms in sight, so no extra stars here. North Star ends up with a total of 10 stars. If I could give it negative stars for safety, I would've. QA GP Test Map. Last but not least, we have the QA GP Test Map. Host to the Slide Zone. Unlike the other test maps, you can spawn infinite Theos here, so you have infinite food. But I'll take some points because you have to eat him raw, and, you know, it's Theos. Again, no harsh environment to hide from, so any shelter will do. Even so, all we have is this tiny hallway, or this metal shelf you can use as a bed thingy. 2 out of 5. There's no such thing as a free meal. The food here fights back. The Theos will throw grenades until they kill themselves, so be careful whenever you spawn any. 1 out of 5 for safety. You can pee into the void, I guess, but it's not a porta potty, so no extra stars. Finally, the slide zone category. There is a slide zone, so as you know, that grants the map an extra 15 stars, making this map the best Concord map to live in at a whopping 21 North Stars. Congrats! Woo! Yeah! Woo!